Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about Sagittarius and their personality, and yes, it does apply and pertain to the Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Well, anyway, people, the first thing I look at as far as Sagittarius goes in their personality is that they could be very friendly and amiable, and they're very often a happy-go-lucky people. They're often optimistic, very expansive. They like to see the bright side of things. I think it's interesting is that former New York Jets head coach Rex Ryan is a Sun in Sagittarius, and the first two seasons with them, he helped turn the Jets around, and they finished 9-7 the first year, made the AFC title game, and then the second year with them went 11-5 and made the AFC title game, and he helped rejuvenate the team. I think a lot of it had to do with his expansive personality. He even said in the first season he thought that the Jets should be favorites to get to the Super Bowl. So, they really, I don't remember if he said get to the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl, but either way, it was a little bit large for me for as far as that making a statement like that, but that's how Sagittarius is. Sagittarius is often very big in whatever they say. Now, Sagittarius, though, they don't necessarily always come through in what they say because it's not that they're often trying to lie or prevaricate. What happens with Sagittarius is I think they often they see either it's a goal that's set too high for them sometimes because they think so large and so big, or the promises are too large. They may have the intention originally when they make these statements and they say I'm going to do such and such, but then they learn later on they might have overshot their mark, so to speak. But it's generally not malicious, and Sagittarius, I think, often has the intention of coming through and following through on whatever it is they said they were going to do. But Sagittarius is often, being a mutable sign, they could be a little bit flighty, a little bit changeable. Sagittarius could be very restless. It's hard to keep a Sagittarius in one place for a very long time because they often like to meander and roam. There is often a strong need for adventure with this sign. These people could be very good at exploration and good at going on expeditions and taking journeys, taking trips. And this sign is like the perpetual learner. They want to know about different things, and they like to really learn subjects, and this is a sign that often furthers their education through college or some kind of post high school studying. I know a lot of people do this regardless of what sign they are, but Sagittarius, I think it's emphasized a little more than the other signs. Keep in mind that this sign corresponds with the ninth house in astrology, which is associated with higher education. Now, Sagittarius often can be prophetic and visionary. I think this is interesting. Some of you may have heard this recently, but NFL quarterback Aaron Rodgers, he made kind of a semi-proclamation. His sun sign is Sagittarius, and he had stated that he thought that his team could run the table, meaning win out the rest of the season. Well, sure enough, they did, and they also won their opening round game against the New York Giants and actually throttled my Giants, unfortunately. And the thing about Sagittarius is they can make their boastful statements. They really, as I stated before, they don't always come through on what they say because their plans, what they're aspiring and what they're trying to do, it's often a little bit lofty. But in this particular case, it came true what Aaron Rodgers stated. But at times this sign can be at least somewhat prophetic or visionary, and I think it came out a little bit when Aaron Rodgers made that proclamation. And speaking of sports, Sagittarius can often be a good coach. They are often athletic minded. This could be a very sports minded individual being a good coach because they know how to inspire people, and they can inspire athletes. It's not necessarily just as a sports coach. It could be a life coach. When in sports, I mean, a good coach can help a player with intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. This is a sign that is often very positive. They're optimistic, and they know how to, in sports, they can maximize the performance out of others because they believe in the power of positive thinking. Now, the thing about this sign, though, is the fact that they they will emphasize the positive so much. Sometimes they may overlook the negative. I think Sagittarius, they're smart enough to understand that they are cognizant of the as far as the negative goes, but they often will not want to see it or really talk about it because they want to really be they want to emphasize the positive. They don't generally want to be around anyone that is very despondent or is very melancholy. They don't, because they don't want that depressed individual to rub off negatively on him or her. So for those reasons, you generally, this is a sign that will not want to deal with things of that nature. They could also be the prototypical jokesters. They are the kind of people that would like to often play jokes on someone. It's generally not malicious. I had a friend that I worked with at a retail store one time, and he always used to mess with me. He took some extension cord or something I had one time at work, and he took it and he tied it around something, just gave me a little extra work to do. And he pranked me one time and pretending to be a Mexican person and just things like that. They really are the ultimate jokesters. They're the ones that a lot of times with their gags and practical jokes, Sagittarius is often behind them. So another thing about Sagittarius too is that they could often be very blunt and forthright. This is a sign that generally will not mince words. They don't, and as I stated before about being malicious, about not being malicious, generally not about that. They generally don't want to be derogatory, but the thing is, they just want to get to the heart of the matter. They feel, I'm just going to come out and say this. They are about speaking the truth, and it's not necessarily to be mean or belligerent, but that's just how they want to be. They don't want to be someone that is going to mince words on anything. They want to get right to the point. I think part of the reason you look at this as being the opposite sign of Gemini, because Gemini is the sign really that may stretch the truth a little, not necessarily always be about prevarication, but Gemini will often stretch the truth in order not to, or maybe not say the truth 100% because they don't want to hurt someone's feelings. But with Sagittarius, it could be just, it's like, you know, I'm just going to come out and say whatever it is. I'm going to get right to the point, right to the heart of the matter. So this way there's no beating around the bush, so to speak. So, and it's interesting that NBA legend Michael Jordan has his moon in Sagittarius. And not only is he obviously very sports-minded, would be a vast understatement. He turned out to be a gifted athlete. But he also could be very blunt to the point where he can even demoralize someone or embarrass him. It was funny. One time he said about his teammates after the team had started like at a 6-4 record, and he said something like, "We're playing like an expansion team." I just thought it was funny. I said that was so typical of a Sagittarius moon. So anyway, people, that will conclude this YouTube astrological segment for Sagittarius and their personality, and stay tuned next time where I'll be talking about Capricorn and their personality. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel, and secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.